Hi, my name is Michelle and you're watching Michelle's Life. Yes, we're in a different location because we are in Florida on vacation. So today's video is my TBR check-in. I might only be able to do one of these this month. We're not returning home from vacation until the 22nd, but we'll see. So far this month I have read a couple of books, but first let's check out what I said I was going to accomplish this month. Now, keep in mind, I made this TBR before knowing that we were going to go on vacation. We planned our vacation very last minute because my husband has to go on a TDY, which is a trip with his airplane that he goes on every once in a while where they bring supplies somewhere, usually in the United States, and it's going to be a 30-day trip. So we decided to take vacation early because I needed it. So we came down to Florida to stay with our relatives for a while, my in-laws, and just relax a bit. So we've been here for almost 2 weeks and it's been really nice, but I have got some reading done, so let's talk about that. The first book that I read this month was The Raven King. I read this book with Jody over at That One Girl Who Reads. She has a blog. I'll leave a link down below for you to check out. And Liz over at Let's Book About It, she also has a blog that I'll link down below. These two ladies I talk to on a daily basis. I love them and they are fantastic, and we were so excited to read The Raven King together. We all participated in the Raven Cycle read along and had so much fun discussing it over there on Goodreads, and so we decided to do a truddy read, a triple buddy read of The Raven King when it came out. So we read about 50 pages a day, sometimes we upped it to around 70, and it was just a joy to just send, you know, smiley faces and heart faces over text message to each other, and it was just a lot of fun. I don't think I liked The Raven King as much as I liked Blue Lily Lily Blue. When I did the reread, first time reading the series, I liked The Dream Thieves the best, but then the reread I liked Blue Lily Lily Blue the best, and I did enjoy The Raven King. It gave me everything that I wanted. There were just some things that were kind of like loose, and I don't know if they were necessary. I don't know. I think that when I reread it next year, I might enjoy it a little bit more. I'm not sure. But overall I gave it 4 stars. The next book that I kind of carried over from last month is A Strangeness in My Mind by Orhan Pamuk, and I was buddy reading this with Josh over at Literary Gladiators. We had so much fun reading this book. I enjoyed it so much. We did a 50-page cap where we read 50 pages a day because that's what I'm usually comfortable with, and he agreed to it, so that was great. And then we went over to Goodreads and we wrote our thoughts at the end of the day and talked about everything, and it was really great. I picked this book because I noticed that over at Literary Gladiators they usually discuss literary works, and I was originally interested in this book because I wanted to read one of the books off of the International Man Booker long list for the year, and this one sounded the most interesting to me, and I brought it to Josh's attention and he said why not. So I think it was a great pick for us to start our very first buddy read together, and we both thoroughly enjoyed it. I do have a spoiler-free review of this book, link down below. It's already been up on my channel for a couple of days. A Strangeness in My Mind did make it to the Man Booker shortlist this year, but unfortunately it was not chosen as the prize winner. I will also link Josh's review of the book down below, but I do warn you that there are spoilers. So Orhan Pamuk is a Turkish author, and this book does take place in Turkey. It mainly focuses on Istanbul and what occurred there during the late 1960s to 2012. And it was just really fascinating to see the progress that was happening over there and how that affected tradition and like the street vendors and how hard people had to work in order to just live comfortably. We follow the main character Mevlut through third-person narration, and he's the only one that's told through third person, so I thought that was really interesting. We do hear from the other characters, and they speak in first person. I call them character interjections. They would break up the chapters every once in a while and tell you, hold up, that's not how it was, let me tell you, just to clarify. And I thought that was a great way to show how biased we are at telling our own stories sometimes, and it was just really interesting. It definitely made the reading experience more enjoyable. Really appreciated that element. Another thing that I really liked about Pamuk's writing style is that right away in the very beginning he broke the fourth wall and told us as readers different elements of the Turkish culture that we may not understand as foreign readers, and I thought that was really cool. So we do see Mevlut grow up and become a man and support his family, and just what that means as a person and the thought processes that we go through and the struggles that we have internally as we take on a more mature role in life. And it was a really great reading experience. I definitely recommend it, and I hope that you check it out. Sorry if the lighting's different. I had to get up in the middle and turn on the light. It was a little dark. So anyway, the next book I read was a buddy read with Sylvia over at Wish Fulfillment. I love her channel and her reviews. Definitely go check her out. I will leave a link for her channel down below. The book that we decided to read together is Ask the Passengers, and I am in love with A.S. King's writing. I loved how short the chapters were. I loved her use of magical realism. I thought that it was very unique and very fun. I guess you could see it as slightly cheesy. The concept of the book is that we follow Astrid Jones, and she is going through kind of, not necessarily a life crisis, but she's going through kind of an identity crisis. She's coming to terms with her sexuality, she's figuring out where she fits in her family, and she's not feeling very loved. So what she does is she goes outside and she decides to send her love to the passengers in airplanes flying over the house and just let them know that they're loved, because she's not feeling so loved herself. I mean, she doesn't come out and say that, but you can put two and two together. And the magical realism element is when the passengers in the airplanes suddenly feel these bursts, almost like Cupid, of love, and they express it in different ways throughout the book, and it's a really interesting concept. I really loved Astrid Jones as a character. I didn't so much like the family element. So the family moves from New York City to a small town. I think it was in Pennsylvania. I don't remember where the small town was, but I guess the mother originally grew up there, and they bought a house that she had always loved. The mother becomes agoraphobic and she stays and works from the house, and the father kind of turns to smoking pot because he's upset about their current situation and doesn't feel, I guess, necessary. And I'm not sure if that's a spoiler or not. I mean, it's pretty early on in the book that they talk about it, but and Astrid's sister just wants to fit in the small town, so she'll do or say whatever is necessary, and Astrid is just trying to figure out where she belongs. Astrid deals with the struggle of being put into a box on whether or not she is bisexual or a lesbian or straight, and it takes her a really long time to come to terms with where she wants to belong and where she feels she belongs. And I really enjoyed taking that journey with her in self-discovery, and I thought that it was really well done. I did appreciate all of her hard-hitting quotes throughout the novel. I definitely highlighted a whole bunch of passages, and I definitely will be reading more of her books in the future. I really enjoyed it. Currently Sylvia is still reading the book, and I definitely look forward to hearing her perspective. Yes, we are in a different location because I filmed some of this TBR check-in in Florida, and then I read some more books on the way home from Florida, so I thought I would include those as well really quickly. On the way home from Florida, I listened to the last 3 hours that I had of the accident season. I had originally listened to this book a couple months back via audiobook from my library, so I borrowed it again so I could finish that damn book as my TBR was called for the month, and it was amazing. I really enjoyed that it was narrated by an Irish female, and I felt like I was able to transport myself more to like this Irish setting, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the narrator was amazing. I will leave a link down to the audiobook details down below if you want to check it out. I definitely recommend it. The magic The magical elements of the book are, I guess you would call like magical realism. The way the author linked our mind's ability to block out traumatic experiences by using these magical elements was really intriguing. This book kind of reminded me of a mix between Maggie Stiefvater's The Raven Cycle and the use of her magical elements with White Oleander, and it was just really good. I mean, as far as like book math, if you've seen that tag before, I would definitely do The Raven Cycle with White Oleander equals The Accident Season. I haven't seen many people read this book, but I definitely recommend it. I wound up rating it probably around a 3.5 to a 4 star. I really enjoyed it. That's really all I can say about it. If you don't know much about the book, it's about this family that experiences what they call the accident season for the whole month of October. They are more prone to broken bones and bruises. It just features the current accident season that they're going through and their discoveries about it and like living life through the accident season. And I don't really want to tell you much more than that because that's all I knew going into it. I didn't even know that there was a magical element to it, but it was just so beautifully written. The metaphors are a little heavy at times, you know, to the point where you're just like, oh, come on. But it's still, the writing was still beautiful. It was pretty fast paced. There were creepy, eerie elements to it. There were also LGBTQI characters in this book, and it was just a very enjoyable reading experience, so I highly recommend it. While in Florida and when I got home, I wound up finally finishing The Bitter Kingdom, which is the third and final book in the Girl of Fire and Thorns trilogy. And holy moly. Alright, so I'm not a huge fan of books where the characters travel a lot to finally meet their destination or like their goal. And in this book there is a lot of like roller coaster action where they finally get to what they're working towards and then they wind up traveling and get to what they're working towards and travel again. But at the same time, the world building is so strong in this book. It's not as strong in this third one as it was, I felt, in the first and second book, but I still really enjoyed it. I loved the new regions that we traveled to in this book, and her self-reflection as a character. And I can't really talk too much about this book, but the way that body image was handled in this book was so strong. It was mostly at the end that she dealt with her body image, and just there were feminist elements also in this book, especially at the ending as well, and it was just really, really strong. I loved this conclusion to this trilogy. I know sometimes conclusions fall flat in trilogies, but this one did not. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I'm starting this book on Monday the 23rd with Raoul from Latin Lector, and that is A Great and Terrible Beauty. So I haven't gotten to this yet, but I hopefully will finish it in the last week of May, and then I'll have read most of my books on my TBR. So that's it for this TBR check-in for May. Unfortunately, like I said, there is only one because this month was hectic and crazy, but I think I read a decent amount of books. I only didn't finish 2 on my TBR, or 3. I didn't finish 3 on my TBR, so that's not too bad. I think I did pretty good overall. And that's it. Let me know down below what your favorite book of the month was, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!